bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Euland, and as the principal of Indian Hill Middle School, I would like to welcome you to the 8th grade graduation ceremony. Before we begin the ceremony, we have a few important announcements. First, out of respect to our graduates, student participants, and the families and guests of our graduates, we ask that you turn your cell phones to vibrate or off. Additionally, we ask that you refrain from applause and cheering for students as they are announced. Your cooperation will ensure that everyone is able to hear their child's name announced throughout the ceremony. Let's welcome our graduates.
Welcome to our 8th grade graduation celebration for the Indian Hill Middle School class of 2021. This morning, we want to recognize each of our 8th graders and celebrate your middle school's experience. At this time, I would like to welcome Jolene Gennady and Laura Kramer to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and Raul Rahman for the welcoming of our distinguished guests.
Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we would like to introduce and recognize the distinguished guests who are joining us today. As your name is called, we ask that you please stand and remain standing until all have been introduced. Mr. Kirk Konecki, Superintendent of the Indian Hill Exempted Village School District. Dr. Melissa Stewart, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. Mr. Jim Nichols, Director of Operations. Mr. Mick Davis, Treasurer. Dr. Eddie Hooker, President of the Indian Hill Board of Education. Mrs. Kim Martin Lewis, Vice President of Finance for the Indian Hill Board of Education. Mrs. Nancy A. Coles, Vice President of Operations for the Indian Hill Board of Education. She is unable to be with us today as she is attending her son's graduation out of state. Mrs. Elizabeth Johnston, member of the Indian Hill Board of Education. Mrs. Nikki Singh, member of the Indian Hill Board of Education. Unfortunately, she is out of town and unable to be with us today. Mrs. Jennifer Euland, principal of the Indian Hill Middle School. Mr. Cash Hayden, assistant principal of the Indian Hill Middle School. Mrs. Heather Kester, director of the Indian Hill Middle School Choir. Mr. Nick Carpenter, counselor at Indian Hill Middle School, and Mrs. Katie Bunovich, counselor at Indian Hill Middle School. Please join me in a round of applause for them all. Members of our 8th grade choir, under the direction of Mrs. Heather Kester, will now perform the song, Found Tonight. Musicians, please join us at the stage. Thank you, Mrs. Kester and 8th grade students. Miss Grace Zhao was selected by the graduation committee, administration, and counselors to give the opening speech. Please welcome Grace to the podium.
I remember 6th grade like it was yesterday. My memory doesn't usually work like that. I forget the most important things. But when I think back to the start of middle school, I recall everything. Parachutes, Castle Skateland, how the main worry in my mind was, what if I can't get my locker open? It's really hard to believe that only a few years ago, we were reading Call of the Wild and watching Carl Azusa's hairline recede further and further on his head. Yet, even though I remember it clearly, 6th grade still seems distant to me for some reason. Kind of detached. Maybe it's because it was our first time in this school. Maybe it's because it was the last normal year that we've had. Maybe it's because when I look back, the biggest hurdles then seem like the smallest problems right now. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It just shows how far we've all grown. Now, 7th grade was the problem year. It started out great for me. You could even call it picture perfect. I was in classes with all my friends. I was getting good grades, and everything was falling into place exactly how I needed it to be. Of course, I can't speak for everyone because I have no idea what any of you were going through, but in my personal experience, the first half of 7th ran like clockwork. Mathway became our best friend. We all complained about 40 book when the teachers couldn't hear. And there was always that one kid that went around begging people for gum. It was the definition of a typical year. Then, as it began to get cold, we started to hear about a virus in China. To be honest, even though I had family there, I hadn't worried about it too much until later. It was something you'd hear on the news, a headline like 10 more infected or wash your hands. We all brushed it off like it was nothing. I distinctly remember the date we were told to get all of our stuff and prepare to leave school for a while. Thursday, March 12th, right before spring break. Everyone was rushing in the hallways, getting their instruments, their bags, their binders that were buried underneath miles of stray worksheets. And the teachers passed out these papers about why we were leaving and what could happen next. I'm almost 100% sure we all thought we were coming back on Friday. But we didn't. And then our whole world was flipped upside down. The last half of 7th grade and almost all of 8th were just overwhelmed by the pandemic. It still feels sort of surreal, because this was a year of teachers screaming 6 feet, girls, or pull your mask up. This was a year of watching your friends grow taller than you, but not being able to see them gloat because a mask covered half their face. This was a year of health checks and quarantines. It seems like the past months have been filled with news about record-breaking numbers, packed hospitals, and recently many, many vaccine articles. And I know my family got off easy because we really weren't impacted that much by the pandemic. But others were. And even though it's so tempting to view this year as a nightmare, a disaster, a catastrophe even, I would love to look back at it as just another challenge. One that we got over. One that made us just a little bit stronger. Because it's our 8th grade graduation and we have an even bigger challenge to take on next. High school. Okay. At this time, I would like to welcome Rahul Raman back to the podium for teacher recognition.
Good job. Let's wait for you to sit down. Family, friends, and fellow students, at this time, we would like to take the opportunity to acknowledge and thank the members of the 8th grade core team teaching staff. For math, Mr. Eric Bass and Mr. Mike Duncan. For science, Miss Katie Dillenberger and Mr. Mark Miller. For social studies, Mr. Brad Bell, Mr. Bert Sheard, and Mr. Jason Keith. For English, Mrs. Shelley Dean, Mrs. Courtney Ward, Mrs. Julie Ryan, and Mrs. Debbie Cook. Our intervention specialist was Miss Carrie Rushi. And last but not least, a special thanks to our BVA staff, Dr. Kim Given, Mrs. Kelly Murray, Mrs. Patty Sutton, Mrs. Tony Rourke, Mrs. Barbie Presnell, and Mrs. Megan Klosterman.
Mr. Konecki and the Indian Hill Board of Education, on behalf of the faculty and staff of Indian Hill Middle School, I proudly certify that the students seated in front of us today have fulfilled the rigors and requirements for the promotion to high school and graduation from Indian Hill Middle School. I invite Dr. Eddie Hooker, President of the Board of Education, to join us at center stage for the student recognition. At this time, we would like to call Mrs. Ryan to the stage to begin the reading of the 8th grade roll.
Members of Mrs. Ryan's class, please stand and come forward. Beckham Boymel. Caroline Chasser. Andrew Coburn. Charlotte Condorotis. Gianni Consolino. Carter Cushman. Ilias D'Ambrosio. Dan DeBow. Jolene Gennady. Abby Midiga. Ryan Midiga. Ernesto Rodriguez Cairo. Michael Ryu. Ethan Sargent. Henry Sheridan. Scarlett Starkey. Gordy Solfstead.
Ava Buffetta. Thomas Frank. Reagan Fry. Elizabeth Fullen. Kincaid Givens. Cody Goldstone. Johnny Gutman. Hunt Hagan. Catherine Hayes. Robert Hayes. London Kuntz. James LaBarbera. Molly Locaputo. Grant Maley. Maggie Power. Addison Ryan. Sam Simons. Alex Swallow. Alex Tasner. Lily Waltz.
Alexander Allard, Jenna Arnold, Angaran Boniel, Walker Boylan, Caroline Brown, Henry Brown, Nate Bunkowski, Livy Carson, Charlie Cathy, Crisper Chabris, Cassie Larson, Mary Leader, Ella Lewis, Cam Miller, Melissa Mensch, Jenna O'Driscoll, Macy Overton, Penn Picton, William Schechter, Ava Sinan,
Damir Almuratov, Harper Bailey, Milana Barrett, Sarah Bay, Trevor Brown, Alex Bufetta, Max Chiaffi, Vitali Christo, Brady Evans, Nathra Hegde Lang, Laura Kramer, Jack Cruzy, Caroline Langworthy, Will Mangan, Lucas Martin, Lily Mitchell, Mary Oakes, Nicholas Onthank, Peyton Onthank, Peyton Plummer, Paige Rabinold, Reese Ramaker, Charlie Sicking, Cameron Tenon, Abigail Zender,
Lachlan Brady, Annie Berger, Hollis Chan, Henry Dowse, Mimi Helton, Lillian Liu, Allison McClure, Michael McColgan, Hadley Moore Jure, Yusuf Matawi, Titus Owen, Rahul Rahman, Rohit Rahman, Kip Richardson, Portia Rossi, Jacob Ruby, Isaiah Sargent, Louise Shoney, Brandon Yang,
Logan Bass, Alyssa Bishop, Aiden Faber, Elijah Fanek, Cameron James, Ayan Cameron, Griffin Kanzig, Ria Kasari, Trey Krishak, Joseph Rippey, Jessica Robinson, Chase Rolfe, Noah Rolfe, Samantha Rosakis, Carter Schrock, Molly Schulhoff, Yetta Schulten,
Nayla Azerbagi, Marley Katie, Mac Cantwell, Birch Carter, Ariana Colgrove, Andrew Kahn, Finan Desta, Skylar Dingman, Kayla Eastham, Lauren Eckert, Jackson Edelman, Chance Freshwater, Mia Gilbert, Tucker Caddis, Patrick Langworthy, Adrian Leonard, Katie Lowe, Elena Mather, Abby McCauley, Reed Moich, Brian Neblett, Nevea Semrad, Holden Wilson IV,
Ojas Chadwell, Yvette Detweiler, Dylan Edwards, Miriam Eilers Corrales, Maggie Fox, Jack Gerber, Rafi Hagopian, Danny Hazen, Anna Joseph, Samantha Kane, Francesca Kong, Reed Pontius, Vic Quintero, Josie Walbrown, Connor Wilkes, Jason Zhao, Grace Zhao,
Gwyneth Benedict, Adonai Burrows, Quentin Carter, Caroline Farkas, Zach Fitzwater, Caroline Grace, Jordan Hall, Jake Hardy, Isaiah Harris, Violet Hayes, Jessica Jackson, Braden Kramer, Talia Levrun, Julius Naira, Drew Palmer. Sophie Schlack. Grace Scott. Brooke Smith. Daniel Snow. Alex Stein. Grant Sapinski. Drew Taylor. Chloe Thomas. Breckham Vandenboom. Hadley Yarnell.
Please join me in congratulating our graduates. Well, students, wow, congratulations. You are officially the last class to leave the halls of our building. And what a crazy ending for a magnificent group of students. This was definitely a brave journey we have embarked on for the past 3 years, with the last 1.5 years facing challenges that no one would ever have imagined. Yet through it all, each of you continued to be you. You continued to be brave. Being brave meant trying a new way to do school, wearing masks all day, plastic dividers at lunch, or showing up to endless Zooms and Google Meets. You have mastered breakout rooms, Jamboards, Alex, Gizmos, Desmos, Canvas, Pear Deck, QRAs, Edpuzzles, Lookit, Gimkit, and of course, how to casually use the chat feature in Google so the teachers didn't know you were chatting with your friends during class. And of course, there's always Tetris. Both students and educators were pushed into new realms, experimenting with new teaching methods and tools, some great, and some needed a little work. But through it all, you're right there, willing to engage, try new things, and encourage each other along this journey. So now you may wonder, what's next? Well, I can guarantee you that the next 4 years are going to flash by in a blink of an eye. So challenge yourself. In fact, I challenge you to continue this brave journey. What does that mean? As Henry David Thoreau said, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you imagined. As you continue on to your high school journey, I challenge you to be the brave person that you want in your life. Be courageous, dauntless, and perhaps a little bit daring. Be the person who faces difficult situations with courage and empathy for others. You already have the strong foundation of our pillars. All you need to do now is to continue on that brave foundation and reach new heights along your journey. Be a leader. Be comfortable making tough decisions, even when among friends. Sometimes you have to take a stance that is not always popular, but is true to your own personal values. Be brave in your actions. Let your spirit shine. Reach out to students in need, students who need someone to sit with or listen to or join them. Look for the positives, the rainbows, the unicorns, and the pots of gold. There will always be naysayers, but when you look for the good in people and in situations, it will keep you on the right path as you journey onward in life. Take pride in yourself, your actions, and your work. Let your self-respect guide you in your decisions and drive you to follow through, never giving up on a dream. Sometimes you must risk failure or rejection in order to pursue your greatest aspiration. Always put your best foot forward. Excellence is not being the best, it's doing your best. However, we sometimes find ourselves afraid to try new things because we won't get an A or we might not be number one. Don't let that stop you. Find new opportunities, practice, and improve. Be innovative and think creatively. You will grow, you will learn. These lessons learned along the journey will last with you forever. As you leave the halls of Indian Hill Middle School and venture into the years of young adulthood, my final thought for you is a quote from one of my favorite musicians, Drake. He's a Canadian rapper. He said, "Sometimes it's the journey that teaches you a lot about your destination." My friends, what a wild yet wonderful ride it has been thus far. And while each of you may have a different and unique destination, I hope the hurdles, the bumps, and the triumphs will lead you to that destination of your dreams. Thank you, and go Braves. Before we recess, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our families, the district officers, members of the Board of Education, for all of the teamwork it took to make this school year happen, and especially this event that we have here today. So thank you all. We as a district are about to head out on a new journey. We are very excited about our new middle school, and we are so thankful for the community support and the belief in our work for the children. Thank you again. In just a few moments, our students will exit the gym and meet our families out in front by the athletic office doors. The PTO celebration will be at 1 o'clock at 50 West. I also want to invite families back into the gymnasium. If you didn't quite get that snapshot that you needed, we will keep the gym set up, the stage set up, and you are more than welcome to come in and take family photos with your child. Members of the Board of Education, Mr. Konecki, faculty and parents, I now have the pleasure of introducing to you Indian Hill High School's class of 2025.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you.
Exclusive coverage on the Indian Hill Television Network has been a copyrighted presentation of the Indian Hill High School Video Department.